No joke, if you have like $30, you can buy half of the list. This is one of the most affordable trending comic lists we've ever done. Let's get into it.
Low risk, high reward potential, and kicking off the list with a book you could have gotten for free this last weekend.
Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. We've been doing this video for nearly 6 years. In a couple weeks, we'll be celebrating. Hit the like button and let's chat about number 10 on the list with Free Comic Book Day, Conan, Battle of the Black Stone, issue number 1. You could have gotten this book for free. It's in $5 average sales. It's a prequel to an upcoming event over on Titan Comics. And wait a minute, $157.50 for a CGC 9.8? How?
Yes, shockingly, you can already get this fantastic Roberto de la Torre cover slabbed, and that's because most shops get their Free Comic Book Day books a couple weeks early. And since CGC was doing this awesome promotion with the actual label that said Free Comic Book Day on it, we are seeing shops that have taken advantage of that.
Kudos to CGC because this is actually a really cool label. I can think of a handful of key comics that I would actually like to have a Free Comic Book Day label on the actual slab, and they didn't charge people for this.
What caught my eye was we've been talking a lot, or Tom has been talking a lot about Conan and Red Sonja over on the Hot 10 with Gem Mint, but there hasn't been a whole lot of Conan love here on the Trending 10 except for this Free Comic Book Day issue, which we're seeing move quite a bit on the secondary market. A lot of people probably didn't pick this up for free, but it seems like there's a lot of desire for it on the back end after the fact. I looked into it, and this whole Red Sonja movie that we've kind of been talking about for like a couple of years now, there was supposedly a trailer shown back at Comic-Con last year, San Diego Comic-Con, but that trailer has not made it out into the wider world. The movie was supposed to come out sometime in the first half of this year, and we're pretty much halfway through the year already. No news about this movie. I'm getting a little nervous about it myself.
Titan Comics actually put out this Free Comic Book Day issue for free for you to read. I'll put the link in the description if you don't want to spend $5 on a Free Comic Book Day book. But when you do, you're going to want to add Conan to your pull list. There's a excellent event happening right now with Call the Conqueror, and do yourself a solid. While you're adding that, add Savage Sword of Conan to your pull list. They're in the early issues. They're riffing off of the original run in black and white, and it's oversized, and it's excellent.
Number 9 on the list, get used to it. We're talking about X-Men 97. We've been talking about X-Men 97 forever, but this is the first time we've been talking about the current run from Marvel, actually called X-Men 97. This is issue number 1. This is serving as a prequel to the show that we're getting on Disney Plus right now. It's going for about $5 averages, which is cover price, but there's a little bit of slab weirdness happening. I want Russ to explain instead of me.
So we saw $161 9.8 on auction, means there was a lot of frenzy going for it, and then the next day there was an auction that ended about $60. And then we're seeing buy it now is in the $90 to $100 range. So while there is absolutely a lot of interest because of the X-Men 97 show, be careful. This is not a book that you're going to want to spend a lot of money on because they are available for cover price at your LCS.
That's right. The first 2 books on our list you can get for cover price, and I like what I'm seeing. We have an increase of copies sold of 280% because of just general X-Men 97 love. But seeing a $160 sale for a 9.8, I would be getting the X-Men Adventures number 1, the first appearance in comic books before spending that kind of money. But let's take a look at the different versions of this book to see if any of them are worth specking on, because there's one that outshines all the rest.
So these sales we were talking about were for the cover A for this book, which has artwork done by Todd Knock. We want to hear what you guys think. We're about to run down all the variants for issue 1 of X-Men 97. Let us know what your favorites are. We're going to tell you what ours are. I'm going to start here with this variant done by David Baldion. It's got the whole team on here. There is another cover here that features the entire team. That's sort of a trend here. This one is horizontal, and it's done by Russell Dodderman. I quite like that one.
You got the second print animation variant, which is pretty cool, but it's got a huge trade dress on it. Then you have the 1 in 25 Ethan Young variant, and then you have a cover B, but the 1 in 100 is my pick. It's Rogue. It's a Virgin variant, and it's done by none other than Ben Harvey.
So I wasn't at C2E2, but I follow Tyler Kirkemart over on Instagram. So when I saw his Gambit and the picture frame, I really love that. And he also did a Wolverine variant.
And then we got Rob Liefeld's Whatnot Con X-Men 97 exclusive. Look at Bishop's gun. So badass. My spec pick is going to be that 1 in 100. I think all these other ones may calm down a little bit, especially in between season 1 and 2. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. And let's move on to number 8 on the list because of last week's X-Men 97 episode. We have, probably because Giant Size X-Men is so expensive. We have Nightcrawler #1. This right here is seeing $6 average sales. A 9.8 hit $130, but you can pick this up at a 9.8 around the $80 marker if you're patient.
Nightcrawler's solo series is supremely undervalued. This book is really easy to find everywhere, and it's older than these guys, coming out in 1985. It's a 110% increase in copies sold this week.
And it makes absolutely perfect sense why this book is on the list. Just look at the cover. Nightcrawler with two like pirate swords on the front. If you saw X-Men 97 last week, and if you're like anything like I did, you were jumping up and down like a little kid when I keep calling him Nightwing. Nightcrawler grabs these two just like pirate cutlasses and starts cutting fools up with Wolverine. I loved it. I was excited, and it made me want to track this book down. So when I saw this book on the list this week, I really didn't need to like look into it any deeper than that, because that's why it's here.
You could have gotten Conan Free Comic Book Day for free and be $12 into this list and own 3 of the most trending books in the world right now. Now, let's move on to number 7 on the list with a $2.1 thousand average sale. We have Incredible Hulk, number 180, the first appearance of Wolverine. I'm going to piss some people off, but that's actually my vote. What's your vote real quick?
Absolutely, I agree. First full panel big appearance, it says Wolverine.
What about you, Ryan?
It's obvious.
Disagree with us in the comment section below. And do yourself a solid and download Key Collector Comics. This is where we source all these comic books from a larger list of 20. Use the code Tom101 and unlocks a free 2-week subscription of the app. See what other books made the list. You absolutely have some of them. This entire list was so affordable. And we're back to talking about Logan. Yes, because of X-Men 97, but I suspect it's more because of affordability. I told you about the average sales, but look at this. You can get an 8.0 first Wolverine, Bronze Age, one of the most important Bronze Age books of all time, for under $1,000 right now.
I just think that's crazy. And really, an 8.0, very fine for a Bronze Age book. That is a solid grade. You're not looking at ratty. You're not missing a Marvel value stamp. And really, considering how high this book was selling for, we have had multiple sales. I think it was 10 sales that I counted since the first of the year under $1,000. It's a 114% increase in copies sold this week on a book that is a little bit more expensive, but it's moving nonetheless.
If you had a Hulk 180, let's say with the value stamp, above a 5.0, are you holding or are you selling right now? Because I'd be holding.
So obviously high grade hold, because we went from $40,000 down to $24,000 for a 9.8. But again, this respectable grade of an 8.0 went from $3,500 at its height to sub $1,000. If you own one, I would not be selling right now.
I'm curious if either of you or anyone in the community owned the Mutant Cycle. So many Easter eggs in this show. Do you remember that like weird Wolverine face on the head of that motorcycle?
I didn't have one, but I clocked this thing immediately in the very brief glimpse of kind of like this hangar bay on the in X-Men 97 this week. You caught a glimpse of a bunch of different weird vehicles, but this Wolverine one definitely stood out, and I had to look it up.
I was 5 years old when I had that motorcycle. Number 6 on the list. Can we all just celebrate right now? We have Galactus.
Woo!
We have the voice of
Yay!
Galactus to talk about. Fantastic Four number 49. This is the first full appearance of Galactus. He don't look like Santa Claus in this issue. The first cover appearance and second appearance in full of the Silver Surfer. $4,000 average sales. That doesn't help you anything. So let's actually hit him with a 6.0 selling for $630. Wow.
Again, for Silver Age, a 6.0 is a good looking copy, and really affordable for such a major key. So many people need the trifecta. You need 48, 49, and 50 of the Fantastic Four. And the fact that you can get this book at such a good price, really, this is a time to buy.
All these sales took place before the major announcement, so we'll get to that. But we have Galactus, Inbound, portrayed by Ralph Ineson. You know him from The Green Knight. You know him from one of my favorite horror movies, The Witch. This guy is perfect for this role.
I need to go back and watch The Green Knight again, because Ralph Ineson actually played the character of The Green Knight in that movie, and his voice is on full display in that role, and he's perfect. This is perfect for Galactus. I have not been this excited for a Marvel casting in a very long time. What's interesting to me is going to slide under the radar. There's 2 other actors who were recently cast in this movie whose roles aren't confirmed yet. So I think it's going to be real interesting to see who those 2 end up actually playing in the near future, hopefully.
With John Malkovich and Paul Walter Hauser and only one Herbie, who will it be?
My vote is they're going to give us Mole Man. And I got to know the community's thoughts in the comment section below. I mean, it was the first foe the first Marvel family went
Really
up against, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's take a look at the list at number 5. We got another book that if you want to get cover A, there's two different options, and they're both right around cover price, but we're not talking about that one. We're talking about the 1 in 25. We're talking about Blood Hunt, #1, the 1 in 25 red band incentive variant. This book has exploded.
That's true. We should probably clarify. This is the current Marvel event that is happening right now, and it has two different versions. So Blood Hunt #1 Standard Edition, not what's on the list today. We're talking about the red band variant, which cost a little more. It was in a poly bag because it is mature. There's a lot more blood, guts, gore, all that stuff in there. This particular 1 in 25 variant is a direct homage to the all-time classic Crime Suspense Stories #22, and it was a little shocking to see Marvel even do this cover, honestly.
This book started taking off, went nuclear this last week, an increase of 164%. This book came out over a week ago.
This is a crazy increase for a repeat offender. We were reporting on $50 averages and high sales around $100. This week, we are talking about $180 average sales. High raw at $295 with multiple sales in the $250 to $275 range. And we even saw a 9/8 pre-sale for $599.
Y'all need to be following me on Whatnot, yo. We sold our cover for $100 and didn't even think twice about it because we got to hook up the fam with those hot comic books and be up on these red band variants. We broke the news last week because I checked after the filming. This news is nowhere. Marvel will be doing more red band covers. They will also be doing red band IPs. Just straight up, you can only get this Black Label-esque type of version of a book. And we have issues 2, 3, and 4 coming of Blood Hunt, all that are getting that same red band 1 in 25 treatment. And the next one, I think is going to go under the radar because a lot of people don't know this homage, but it is absolutely another EC homage.
Crime Suspense Stories 16 is not as popular of a cover as Crime Suspense Stories 22, but still, it is a classic story with a guy slicing up, and who do we have? Wolverine, Snickety Snickton. It absolutely is an homage to another classic EC pre-code horror story.
This is going to be a cool set when this is all said and done. These red band 1 in 25 EC homage variants, they're going to look really cool all together. However, you may have already missed the boat if you haven't got your orders in already for issues 2 and 3 of the red band Blood Hunt books. FOC has passed for those two, so good luck with that moving forward. If you still want, issue 4 is currently available for another week or two to put your orders in. Let your shop know. Have them order 25 copies. Maybe they'll get the 1 in 25 variant. Cross your fingers. That one's done by Betsy Cola, too, by the way, and it looks real good.
We used to do giveaways every single week, and we had to stop because of fraud that was happening. We don't want to get into it. If you've been around watching our videos, you would know what's going on, as well as just the difficulty of communicating to our winners. But we're back. We have a Batman 181, limited to 500. We're starting weekly giveaways again, and Ryan will tell you how you can enter.
It's easy, too, I promise. I'm very lazy, and if it wasn't easy, I would not want to tell you about it. Just head to Comictom101.store and wait a second. And you'll get a pop-up on your screen, and it'll say, hey, put your phone number in to be entered to win all sorts of giveaways that we're going to be doing here. It'll also let you know about upcoming drops and specials and sales that we might be running in the future. That's like the best way to stay notified. You can also sign up with your email address, too, but if you're anything like us, phone number is probably a better way to contact you.
That way we know it's you, and you know it's us when we contact you. Do it one time, you're in all of our giveaways going forward. You just have to stay subscribed so we can contact you, and we'll announce this next week on the trending video. Every single week now, giveaways are back. Hit them with number 4.
Number 4 on the list, this is the only DC book here this week. I'm ready for this trend to switch once James Gunn's DC universe really starts getting going. But right now, we're just talking about DC 1 Million #1. This is a book I honestly did not know about from 1998. This is a big crossover in the DC universe. All of this is because of the first image we finally got of David Cornsweet suited up in the Superman suit with a whole bunch of weird stuff happening out behind him in Metropolis.
This book is $3. This book is up 1,400% in copies sold. Hot damn.
So as much as I love Key Collector and as many accounts as I follow on Instagram, there are more people that follow more things, and sometimes I get the hot news from people walking into my shop. One of our regulars, Max,
Shout out Max, yo.
came in and said, hey Russ, I think Solaris is happening, and I think they've decided what they're going to do with Superman's trunks.
It's a little hard to see in the picture, but if you zoom in the exact right area, you can see that our boy David Cornsweet appears to be wearing the red Superman trunks, which we have not seen for quite a while. He's also got the yellow utility belt. None of that stuff was in the Henry Cavill version of Superman, so it's kind of cool to get a more classic look to the character. But again, my eye is drawn to whatever the hell is happening behind him outside in the city. There's this big purple globe thing shooting a big laser, and my brain goes to Brainiac because I'm sort of a basic comic nerd, but apparently we've got people like Max who are like, no, that could be Solaris, a sentient tyrannical son, of course, from this random issue of DC from, 20 years ago.
There are 4 copies of this book on the census. No 9.8s and no 9.6s yet. Do not buy a graded version of this book because the first ones that get listed are going to be way too high because people are going to be going into not even dollar bins, quarter bins to search for this book. $3. Yo, this is an affordable list. What a great time to be into comics.
When I looked into Solaris a little more, it kind of feels like the perfect sort of James Gunn villain. It reminded me a lot of Starro in the Suicide Squad, like a big, weird, creepy alien thing that I feel like most movie directors wouldn't think to put in their, superhero movie. We only know of Lex Luthor, too, is the only villain announced for this movie so far. So I feel like there's got to be some other sort of villainous presence in this movie, and I think Brainiac might be a little too much. So it does make sense that we might get something a little more off the beaten path like this book here.
Something that's going to keep Lex Luthor occupied so that he's not just the only villain in the story. He's probably got to team up with another foe. Finance and some shenanigans. Let us know your thoughts about David Cornsweet as Superman. I'm excited about this, just like I'm excited about number 3 on the list. However, we do need to give a big spoiler warning. It is impossible for us to cover the last 3 numbers on the list without getting into X-Men 97. You have been warned.
Seriously, a lot of you in the comments have been pointing out that we spoil stuff. We're sorry. Here's your warning. You get out of here.
They're
now.
like, we want to know why the books are trending and if I should spend $500 on it, but don't actually tell me why.
But I won't spend 20 minutes to watch the new episode of the coolest thing that's been on Disney Plus maybe ever. So yeah, go watch that and then come back and check out the top 3 numbers on this list.
All of that out of the way. Number 3 on the list, X-Men number 53 from 1996. $25 average sales, a high 9.8 for $128. And if you know what this book is, you absolutely know why we should care. It is the first full appearance of Onslaught. It even says it on the cover of the book.
This book was on the trending 20 last week and didn't crack the top 10. So kudos to the members who were up on their X-Men 97 specking because this week, a bunch of people just joined the bandwagon. This right here is up 119% this week because this seems like the direction that they're headed for season 2 of X-Men 97.
So we're thinking we might be seeing this evil mashup between Xavier and Magneto probably in season 2 of X-Men 97. There's not really a whole lot of time left, unfortunately, in this first season, but it does make sense when you consider that in the comics they had to rope in a whole bunch of other wider Marvel Universe characters to help them take down this villain. So hopefully, because we have already seen Spider-Man and Captain America this season on X-Men 97, hopefully we're going to get more wider universe Marvel characters in season 2. We've already been seeing a whole bunch of them, actually, so far this year because of Morph, who has been shape-shifting and transforming into all kinds of characters, including the Hulk this week, which was real fun.
Morph Smash, turning into the Hulk in the episode. So damn cool. Can't help but think that maybe that's why we're seeing 328 of ASM rank on the trending 20. I mean, it's a dope McFarlane cover. We'll consider it an honorable mention right here. But let's move on to number 2 on the list.
Number 2 on the list, more 90s goodness. We have Wolverine 75. You guys remember this awesome book with that hologram on the cover that every single kid wanted back in the 90s? It actually made it on the list with a $10 average sales and a high 9.8 sale of $100. And for those of you people that are saying, pump the brakes, that sounds like a lot. Really, this is a book that a lot of kids had, but they read it. These holograms were actually really easy to scratch, and getting a 9.8 for this book is tough. So not only do you have to find one that looks good, you then have to send it to CGC, which will cost you postage, and then $25 to grade it, and then postage back. So really, you find a nice copy or have one in your collection, you're already at $60, $70 just to get it graded. Spending $100 on a sure thing of a book that is really hot looking anyway, I like this.
We got a 380% increase in copies sold of this book compared to last week, and this is the issue where we find out that, surprise, Wolverine's claws, they're bones. That's not metal, they're bones. Spoilers, I guess. If you're like me, you knew this from the Wolverine Origins miniseries that came out quite a bit later, but that was, of course, just riffing off of the info that we got here in this issue. Again, the claws are not metal, they are bones. Coated in metal.
Now, this is a very memorable book. A lot of people like this comic book. It's a great run. But why would we be specking on Onslaught right now? Why would people be expecting to see a reveal of Wolverine's bone claws? Well, hit the like, slap the subscribe button. It's all because of the #1 most trending book in the world this week. And they did it. They did one of the biggest X-Men scenes from the 90s, doing the comics justice. Magneto removing adamantium from Wolverine officially on screen.
We're talking X-Men 25. Don't know if Tom said that or not. #1 on the list, X-Men 25, 1993. We're seeing a 463% increase in copies sold of this book with $15 average sales and a high 9.8 from a couple months ago of $159.
Collecting comic books in the 90s was rough. Seriously, I keep seeing these memes all over my Instagram, the people talking about you wouldn't last an hour in the asylum I was raised in. And really, they killed Superman. They broke Batman's back and they ripped out Wolverine's skeleton. Seriously, being a 90s comic book collector was really traumatizing, guys.
I really appreciate you bringing up those different events because I think that's what's happening with this comic book. I remember when my dad explained this to me when I was like 7 years old about one of the most vicious things Magneto did in the X-Men, ripping out the adamantium out of Logan. Like the body horror, Marvel really went the distance. I mean, frankly, they may have used a red band warning on that comic book if it was coming out today.
And it is cool. Again, these top 3 books are sort of all kind of floating around the same moment right in this episode that we got right at the end.
Let's connect the dots for him, Ryan.
Correct. Yeah, we've got this whole battle happening between Magneto and Xavier, who has finally returned back to Earth. Magneto's going full evil again, real suddenly, a little bit in my opinion, but they make it make sense. And we have this whole fight happening between Magneto and Xavier. His helmet comes off, and it looks very much like we're about to get next week, probably, the scene that happens in this comic where Xavier just kind of wipes Magneto's mind after seeing Magneto rip out all the metal from Logan's body. And that's what's going to probably lead us into Onslaught and lead us into Season 2. Hopefully they save that for Season 2 and don't just rush all of that through in next week's finale.
Which will then lead us to an adamantium-less, bone-clawed Logan. Did you watch this episode? What did you think about it in the comment section below? And, as always,
geek responsibly.
Shout out to Rob Liefeld for collabing our biggest Instagram post to date. Enough said.